Hello, my friends. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. My name is Jason, and this is the Outstanding Life Show. And here we talk about everything related to recovery. We talk about addiction. We talk about mindfulness. And I wanted this series to be a toolkit for those who have made the decision that this is the kind of lifestyle that they want to live. I didn't want this show, and I'm very careful to make sure that I'm not here to help convince you to do anything or to persuade you not to do anything. But this is more of a skill set or an asset, something you can use as a toolkit to help after the decision has been made. So with every show, I do have some notes. And so with the show notes, if you type notes in the comments, if you're watching on Facebook, you can type them in the comments below and we'll have them sent out to you by Facebook Messenger. Or if you're watching on YouTube, and you can just go to the website outstanding.video/notes, and then we'll have the notes sent out to you by Facebook Messenger. And I'm taking these notes and I'm also loading them up to a WordPress blog. So in case you wanted to go and read up instead and you enjoy reading more than you like watching, I've got this available in the print format, and I deliver it to you by Facebook Messenger if that's what you're open to, if that's where where the audience is. I do have a blog post set up, I do have Facebook Messenger, and I am using live video. I'm taking also snippets of this and I'm cutting it down to 1 minute segments, and I also upload that to Instagram, but I also take that same 1 minute video and I put that up on YouTube. So I've got the long form format already on YouTube and Facebook. I've also got this shorter form for season 2. Shorter form is going to be more frequent and more shorter content, and the 1 minute videos is just more of like teasers. It's just the highlights of what we're talking about. So we'll have the highlights that will be out there more often, the 1 minute videos, but then those will feed into the 15-minute videos, which we're watching right now. And then for more information, we also have the long form video. Everything is documented on the blog post. We've got it's like a Rolodex of information. But yeah, and I just use Facebook Messenger to help connect all those resources. So in case you wanted to find out more, if this is something you're interested in, again, I encourage you to leave a comment, say hello, or grab the show notes. Okay, so if you're new here, let me know, leave a comment below. We do have a topic with every show, and with season 2, I decided to kick it up a notch. So with season 2, I'm going ahead and every month is going to be its own special step. So with January being the first month, we'll cover everything related to step 1. And when we move on from the further months, we'll go ahead and jump into step 2. So as we finish the 12 steps, after 12 months, we would have gone over everything related to that step in that 1 year period. It sounds crazy. 1 year sounds like a lot, but I'm committed to showing up every day and getting these videos out there. Okay, so today's episode, we're actually chatting about, it sounds silly, but I had the title being, everybody has a photographic memory, but not everybody has the film. So what do I mean by that? So if everybody has a photographic memory, but not everybody has the film, then where do the two meet? What's the point of having a photographic memory if you don't have the film to record it? And when it comes to my addiction, when it came to learning things, I don't know about you, but for me, in my addict mindset, in my stinking thinking, that would cause me to learn the hard way. Or more importantly, I would choose to do things the hard way. And by choosing and of my own volition, by making it a priority, to do things the hard way, I would end up, that would be like the photographic memory, but without having the film. So while I'm choosing to live life and experience things, by making it my choice and me choosing to do things the hard way, by doing it my way, it was counterproductive. It was the Superman and the kryptonite. It wasn't doing any good, and in fact, it led to more challenges. Like I can't express how many times I had been the sealer of my own fate. I had been the one that, like the stick in the mud. I had been the stubborn growth that was refusing to budge, and it wasn't helpful. It wasn't conducive. It wasn't supportive of my recovery. In fact, it made things worse. And the thing that stood in the way was my ego. What stood in the way was my pride. And the sooner I embraced recovery, the sooner I started working the steps. For me, that was something that, I don't want to say that reassured me, but it let me know that I didn't need to do things the hard way. I didn't need to make a mountain out of a molehill. I knew I could just get things done. And maybe the best way isn't the hardest way, but it took me going to the recovery program. It took me working the steps for me to come to that realization. If it wasn't for the trials and tribulations, if it wasn't for the struggles, if it wasn't for those learning opportunities, I wouldn't have reached that event crisis point. But I think with what the message is for each person, you have your own solution. Like what works for you may not work for me. And what worked for me was working the 12 steps. What worked for me was pushing through my ego. What worked for me was having a higher power. And admitting that I was powerless over alcohol and other drugs was a huge first step. And with this being about step one, if I had never made that decision to live a sober life, if I wasn't presented with those, what I would call endless struggles, but again, those endless struggles were caused by me. Those endless struggles were manifested by me. I truly believe that the world, in my experience, is as much created, not just by the world, but by my perception of it. So it's almost like I'm co-creating this world as I experience it. So if I'm going through this world and I'm perceiving that to see things in a certain way, not that that's all I'm going to see, but if that's the lens I'm applying to it, I'm removing, every time you apply a lens, you're removing certain things, you're filtering out certain parts of it. And if I'm choosing to experience this world in a struggle, difficult, arduous way, then that's all I'm ever going to let in. And if all I'm ever doing is filling that up, then when there's pressure applied to me, when there's difficulty, when there's stressors, when there's angst, and when there's emotion out that's let go and released from me, I can't be surprised if all it is just filled with that resentment, that negativity, that anger, because that's all I've absorbed. So I'm not saying just don't absorb negativity, no. But what I am saying is through the ritual, the habit of working the 12 steps, through the habit of accepting that I'm powerless over alcohol and other drugs, through the habit of having a support network, through the habit of not just working the steps, but having my own program and believing in something bigger than my ego, and actually like genuinely believing in it, like taking the initiative behind it. The whole recovery program for me was a discovery process. It didn't happen overnight. Somebody explained to me, they said, Jason, once I made that first step, once I admitted that I had a problem, they had shared that, Jason, you didn't get to this point overnight. This has been months and years in the working. So when I reached out for help and admitted I was powerless over alcohol and other drugs, they had said it's not going to take a day to get out of it. It's going to take work. It's going to take consistency. And what I had to consistently do was break down these barriers. I had to break down this. There was no actual physical wall that existed. Like there was no physical manifestation that was stopping me from moving through it. It was all inside my head that I'd built these up. And the sooner I let go of it, the idea behind having a photographic memory but no film, the sooner I let go of this frustration and resentment, negativity, the sooner I embraced my recovery, the sooner I admitted I was powerless over alcohol, the sooner I was able to be filled with something other than those emotions, those anger, the resentment, the negativity. If I don't let that in, if I don't focus that as my priority, then I can focus on other things to be my priority. I can focus on gratitude. When I'm filled with gratitude, I can't be angry and thankful at the same time. So rather than be upset at the way things are or the way I think things could be or should be, if I remove that thought, then maybe I can focus on gratitude. Maybe if I get my ego out of the way, I'll have room to be thankful for the way things are. At least I have these things. Sure, the world isn't always perfect, but neither am I. Like, I'm only human, right? So what I'm saying is what worked for me may not work for you. And what worked for me was the radical transparency and radical open-mindedness. And it's not something that one day I'm going to do. It's something every day that I'm doing. Okay, so if you're new here, my name is Jason and this is the Outstanding Life Show. We talk about everything recovery related, mindfulness, addiction. It's very much a community. You guys share a lot of thoughts and you message me and you guys send me a lot of questions, which I think is really cool. So I encourage you to keep that honest conversation going. A lot of this is driven by you, the community. So I do want to take a minute and celebrate that. I wouldn't be sharing this message if I didn't feel it added value. And speaking of value, if you like what we're talking about and you want to know more, go ahead and type notes in the comments if you're watching on Facebook. But if you're watching on YouTube, just go ahead and visit the link down below or up above. It's outstanding.video/notes. And then we'll have the notes sent out to you through Facebook Messenger. All of it is pulled from the blog that I have set up. So if you want to get ahead and see what the future shows are going to be about, go check out the blog. Or if you're comfortable and happy with just getting them delivered to you, I can have it sent out to you right away. All you got to do is type notes in the comments or visit the link below. All right. So with every episode in season 2, I decided to have fun with it. And we're going to try having a gratitude of the day. And we're also going to have an action of the day. So today's gratitude is, I appreciate my higher power for keeping me modest, for helping me accept that I'm always going to be learning. And what I mean by that is I'm always going to be growing. Excuse me. It's always going to be an opportunity for development. What I'm saying is there's no way I'm done. And just when I think I've reached that pinnacle point, I'm humbled because there's always another level I can push myself towards. So it's never about striving to get to something. It's about accepting where I am, accepting who I am, and accepting where I'm at. Yes, I do want to improve, but I am also here to improve. Like, I don't want to oversight that. So I do celebrate every minute. That's my thankful moment of the day. All right, so for today's action of the day, today I'm actually going to list 3 ways that I, myself, get in the way of my own progress. Earlier, we talked about my ego. Number 1, right away, right there. My ego definitely gets in the way of my own progress. So that's my one transparency there. Other things that get in the way, my expectation that I'm holding. So if I have an expectation of how I think things should unfold, that can get in the way of my own progress. If I go in with my own mindset, without being, or we said earlier, that radical open-mindedness and that radical transparency, those are things that will definitely So if I'm not open-minded or transparent, that'll get in the way of my own progress. If I go in with my own expectations as to how things should be, that will definitely set me back, because I'm going to be stuck and focused on what I don't have and where I'm not at. And right there, as soon as I'm focusing on something other than what I want to become, that's creating that space for that gratitude and the frustration to not exist. So if I come from a place of living gratitude first, then that reduces the chances of feeling that anger or frustration or letting it build up, more importantly. So by listing it, by writing it down, by taking that action, I give it form. And as soon as I give it form, as soon as I give it, as soon as I make it real, that makes it achievable. What you feel is what you can heal. And by labeling it, by naming it, by giving it some shape, that allows me to then move forward in that direction of progress. Because once I've identified it, I've drawn that line in the sand, and that's something I'm no longer going to tolerate. That's what the 12-step program is really about. It's about setting that standard for yourself and the commitment to following through with it. And it's having the accountability of your support structure as well as others. We'll get more into the 12 steps as we move through this program, but today's step 1, that's what we're talking about today. I do want to thank you for stopping by. It really means a lot to me. You take time out of your day to hang out and say hi. Again, if you do have any questions, shoot me a message, say hello. My name is Jason. This is the Outstanding Life Show. Or if you want to get the notes, go ahead and type notes in the comments and we'll have them sent out to you. All right. In the meantime, you take care and have fun, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.